Hi everybody, very good morning. I hope you all had a nice MCQ session. I hope everybody is attending to that as well. I'll just share my screen. Please confirm once you are able to see the screen. Yeah, I just shared my screen. Please confirm. Raise your hand once you are seeing. Yeah, I hope my voice is audible. Please confirm.
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Yeah. I'm just make sure these two reference documents, that is fs.html, I'm putting it under our chat. Make sure that this document is referred as frequently as you feel appropriate. This is very important from the perspective of reference, especially because a lot of commands are there, lot of possibilities also there. So you please refer for any file system reference. You use the fs.html document. That is a Node.js version. Please check on the version that you are working with and download that, refer that document. This is applicable for almost all the Node.js application if you are using Node.js as your backend. If you are using C# or .NET as your backend, then you have to refer to those documents. So the document that I am referring to is based on Node.js with JavaScript. Okay, so please refer those reference document as you feel appropriate. Most important thing is next is what we are, yesterday we just started with how do we uh, resolve this folder, what is the purpose of join, how do we check whether folder exists or not, if it exists, how, in case if it doesn't exist, how do we create recursively, if it is without recursive, how it works, with recursive, how it works. We have seen all this. That's a base. And the resolve, the purpose of the resolve is it will automatically, whether you are working with Linux environment, whether you are working with other environment like Windows, iOS, he will automatically take care of that operating system based syntax. So he will automatically take care of join. The join purposes, in case you want to join multiple things, you can use this d colon upskill my own folder, no slash or anything. He will automatically join all together. So anything separated by comma will be joined together. This also we have seen on that day. So this is what we have seen it as part of the last class. I'm continuing on the same place because we are now going to create a document. We have created a directory yesterday. We have checked the directory, that is exist sync. I'm using with sync, that is basically a synchronous operation. Asynchronous operation you can learn from for yourself, but mostly sync operation will be working with. So and then stat, we'll start with stat operation, then we go with, we want to read all the content of the directory, we can go with read directory synchronous, then file reading, file writing, all this we'll see as we go. So these are all things that we are going to see today. Stat is very important from the perspective of you want to know what is the size of the file. Accordingly, you want to manage your data. All that you can use stat synchronization. let us see. For stat synchronization, you need a file info, and then that file is the full path of the file is the path. Okay. So I hope last class you got the script files with you. It is all, I think they are uploading to the GitHub. So please refer to the GitHub. I hope you all have the details of those as you go. Right. So that is the thing. Let us now move on to next important thing. We move on to now stat sync. We'll give the file path. We'll just see what is the stat sync gives, what is the output it gives. Almost in Node.js, all the outputs return value will be in JSON format. Even exceptions are in the JSON format. So by default, the output of the any return value will be in the JSON format most of the time. Okay. Very rare case you get a simple string is possible, true or false, boolean is possible, but wherever there is a return value like stat sync everything, it will return the data in the simple file, you call it as JSON. So JSON, understanding the JSON is very important. If you have any questions on that, please let us know. JSON, I am requesting my testing team also, that is that practice team also, to give more exercise towards JSON. You, unless otherwise you are very familiar with JSON, none of the things will be effective. Okay, so you need to practice a lot from the perspective of JSON. Nested JSON, standard JSON, stringified JSON, parsed JSON, when the parse can fail, right? When a JSON can fail to parse, all that you need to understand clearly so that you make sure that you take it to the, when we go with the other Angular material or any of the single page application development, everything, RESTful API, everywhere JSON is used. Okay, most of the time we use the JSON. So with that, let us start with today's subject. Let us go with StatSync. For StatSync, let me just go to the my D drive file. I'll just go to the upskill file. Let me just take some 2 KB, 3 KB is there. Let me take this file as my path. Okay. So let me just put let path equal to pt equal to or pth equal to upskill.
Sir, your screen.
It's not visible.
Yes, sir. You didn't share your screen, I think.
Oh,
It's
okay.
shared, but
Sorry,
it's not visible.
I don't know what is the reason, but let me share now. Full window, entire screen. Yeah, now I shared it as an entire screen. I think there is a made mistake on the way I shared the content. I hope now you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. It is visible now.
Okay. So that is, so we are now going to talk about stat operation, stat sync operation. So for that, I need to give a full path. So if you have a doubt, always give it like this, as I path dot join within bracket colon upskill colon. So he will take care of putting a double slash or a single slash, all that he will take care of. Now I'm going to give the file name. The last is file name. I'll give the file name. So I'm .html, but .html is also syntax of HTML is also important. That means HTML. I've given the path as this. Path.join I put. If you want to add, you can add that resolve also. It doesn't matter. Resolve, it all added advantage only, right? So I'll just put console path so that if any mistake is there, we'll know. Otherwise, we may not know what is the reason of the failure. Now, anything you are dealing with file operations, we need to use try catch. That is very, very important, because these are all candidates where there is your code may be working fine, but in reality, when you move the script from one place to another place, there you may not able to access the drive. For example, you are given in my local D drive exists, but when I move the script to you, you may not have the D drive at all. You may have a E drive or a C drive only. Then this script will fail. So for all this, there are places where you need to use try catch, right? Disk operation, database operation, all this operation requires any third party access. You need to deal with try catch. Without try catch, you are not supposed to pass the code, right? Path is only assigning the string. This may not fail. But when I try to access it, so console log ETH, what is it? Stat fs dot, I think. I always use fs dot. So fs dot, I copy paste the syntax. Stat S capital, sorry, small s starting with sync S capital, then path. Path is nothing but my PTH. I just try to put this. So this start chain candidate is an exception, possibility that it might generate an exception. So because it can generate an exception, you are supposed to deal with within try catch. Very important in programming. When you are dealing with development, you need to know where to put try catch, where you can avoid try catch. All this you have to be very clear with. So try catch, the program execution stops where there is an exception. It doesn't execute further lines of code. So you have to be very careful where the program gets stopped. Try catch will help you in identifying that. Okay. I'm just executing this. Now you can see the stats. Oh, I'll enable it. I can also execute in another way. I'll just, today may be the time for you to learn all that. I'll go to the command prompt of Node.js. Node.js command prompt I can go with. So I can deal with this directly from the command prompt. I'm going to my drive where I kept this file running, upskill, and cd, I think JavaScript. Yes, JavaScript is there. Directory. You have all the files. Right now we are into file system object.js. I want to execute node, just node, and then paste this file .js, right? Node file system .js, it will execute that file. You can now see, I don't have to worry about running through debug mode or anything. You can see now dev mode nlink UID, GID, etc. Block size 4096 is the file size. Info size 2598 is actual size. Block size is the block allocated for this HTML. Actual size is 2598. Totally 8 blocks are there. Then A time, millisecond, fetching time. All this related to the times, related to fetching, etc. There are multiple activities involved in reading the file. So he talks about that. Birth time, at what time it has got created. So, so this is the details that you get from the file details. So with this, usually we deal with size, because the size is the important object for us, right? With that file size, we know. I'll do it with one more file. In class3.html, save it, execute. Now it is class3.html. You can show, there is what I'm saying, talking about exception. No such file or directory. There is no class3.html. Oh, it is html1.html. Here it is htm, that is html. So that is why a classic reason D no such file dot html 1 dot html1. htm1 is there. We need html1. html1 is needed. This is the reason why we need to have a try catch. This is an exception that is created. So I just saved it. Now you can see here 607 is the file size, whereas the previous one was 202598 is the size. Here it is 607. Right? So that is the file size that it has. Mode is basically, it is valid from the perspective of Linux, etc. 777, all that is there. 777 means it is executable, it is accessible by all. Write permission, every user. There are multiple users level also. Those things are nothing but mode. So this is from that perspective. Okay. So this is about stat. So what happens if I give a try catch? Try console, execute that inside the catch. Every try must go with catch block. Exception. Again curly braces to start and end. Console log e dot message. Always every error will have a message. So e dot message will take care of that. So now I put, what I did is the same mistake I do now. Try catch. But if I now try to execute, console log executed this line after exception. I can execute this line now even if it has happened after exception. Okay. I'll just come to the questions. I'll execute now. Execute now. So now you can see here exception. Such file or directory stat h3html executed this line after exception. If I just try to put this, copy this, just one line above, right? And I just try to save it. Now this 40 also will not get executed. 45 also will not get executed. 40 only created an exception, but that 40 itself will not get executed. That means this line will not get executed. 43 will not get executed because the exception is triggered at 38 line number. After 38 line number, it will not execute any further lines. I'll just execute. So executed this line after exception, it will not appear now. Now you can see it has executed, it has 38 line exception has triggered. After 38 line, I am not able to see this further line. Whereas here, I am able to see this executed this line after exception. I am able to see this line, but this is not happened because I have done this before try catch. So this will prevent the execution of the further execution of the lines. So we have to be very careful when you are coding where to put try catch, what a code, how a code will perform. You have to be very, very clear. What is dependent data, what is non-dependent data. So whether I am depending on this path, if I'm depending on this path, then my code has to be within the try. If I'm not depending on the path, the further execution is independent, then I can go outside the try catch exception. So that those things will not fail. Very important to understand. Any questions as of now, please let me know. Very important topic that you are going through now. Path is a module, as explained. The path is the default module inside the Node.js, which will deal with, because we are dealing with multiple environments, right? Some people code in Windows environment, but they will publish the code in Linux environment. So Linux environment syntax is different, the path syntax is different, whereas Windows environment, the path syntax is different. Somebody moves the code from different area, different platforms. For all this, the path is the package which will resolve most of your issues. You don't have to worry about. Okay. Why the curly bracket also? The output is a JSON. Because it is a JSON, curly bracket always comes out. Saturday college, I am not attending the MCQ. MCQ needs to be attended. If that is a request there, please talk to the team. Make sure you attend the exam because it might be all these marks plays an important role. Talk to the support team. Make sure you get some other time for attending the MCQ. Please talk to them in case if you are interested in job and other stuffs. Right? If you are not, that's fine. Why should we give path as an array of words? Okay, array of words because automatically that gets into the path is formed by this join command. Join command forms the path because as I said, syntax varies from Windows to other environments. Windows, we give this slash as our path. This slash in JavaScript act as a command escape character. So when I put this slash, it is an escape character. So I need to use double slash for that to avoid that escape character. Right? Escape character is nothing but a /n /t tab separated control characters. That means end of the line character. So end of the line character is generally done using /n. This is the end of line character, right? So end of line is this, tab is this, right? /t is for tab. All these are there to avoid. This is basically it is an escape character. It is not a literal T. Don't treat this as a T, the character T. You treat this as a escape character. With escape character, you treating them as a tab separated. So there are certain functionalities for that forward slash, and also it is an escape character. Escape character means I want to literally deal with that. I need to use double slash. That means you treat slash as slash. Don't treat slash as escape character. I want slash as a slash. I don't want this to be treated as an escape character. Then I need to treat double slash. So like this, there are a lot of things involved. Whereas in Linux, you follow forward slash. Forward slash is followed for your path separator, right? Directory separator. So that is the reason why we are dealing with this. The another, now we just move. One is we got the statistics. If I want the size of the file only, then I can just give here let stat equals, put this inside the file, put this inside, then I just put now stat.size, stat.size, then I get the size of that file, right? Size of my file, I'll just say like this, size of my dollar curly braces PTH is dollar curly braces. Practice. I am typing it all this because I want to emphasize that how do you give this tilde with this kind of a parameter inside the tilde. Just to explain you, I'm just doing this. Okay. So if I Node.js, I make sure that it is HTML, no exception. So it is HTML dot. So I just put, you can see now the file size is 607 bytes. I call it as bytes. Okay. So 607 bytes. So size of the path is given is 607 bytes. So that is the thing. The next important thing that we are going to see is now file creation. How I'm going to create a file, how do I read the file, how do I read the content of the file, etc. So let us first deal with some new file. I want to create a file. In Node.js, there are multiple things I can do. One, I can read the file as a whole, as a full, or write the file as a whole, or I can write the file with the line by line. So one is, we call it as a streaming. Another is bulk operation. So what is the difference? What is the preferable one? So bulk operation means I read a file or I write a file. My file size is say only some 5 MB or 1 MB or something. It is okay. I can write it 1 MB itself too huge from the code perspective. Okay. I have to hold the memory of 1 MB. I write it on the memory. Later, I transfer that memory data to the file system. So that is what we can do, right? That is the normal trend that we generally do. We keep writing onto the memory. Finally, when you want to come out, you write the entire thing on the disk. So during this time, what happens? There is a heavy operation that is supposed to happen on the disk, which is costly affair. And also, if the file size is very high, you need to have that much of a memory also in place. And in the concurrent operations, when several users are going to access your website, right? That means each user is trying to read a file or write a file or something. Then everybody you need to allocate that much of a memory, which might become very costly. So that is why the streaming concept comes into picture. The streaming is what you are when you are downloading watching a movie online. You can notice one thing when you are watching the movie online, you can jump from 5 seconds to say 50 seconds or 1 minute or 30th minute. That 29-minute content will not get downloaded if you are jumping from to 30th minute. The 29 minutes content will never get downloaded onto your local machine. That is the advantage of streaming. Whereas if I do a bulk operation, it is equivalent to a file download. The entire content gets downloaded onto your local machine. That means whether you like it or not, the entire GB of your movie is getting downloaded onto your local machine. So in all the current trend HTML5, this is precisely the HTML5 effect of HTML5. HTML5 will allow you to jump from any stream object, that is supporting the stream object. I can jump from any block to any block without affecting your content. So that is the advantage of stream. And today all current trend is dealing with the stream objects. So when I say stream objects, there are two important things that comes into play. One, streaming objects is purely, it doesn't take any memory. Streaming, okay, I'll just put a bulk operation or non-streaming operation requires memory and huge operation time. Right? For example, if I want to write 1 GB of data, first I need 1 GB of memory because to put the data in the memory and then write it to the hard disk. So writing, I need to write continuously 1 GB of data. Writing of hard disk is not of the same speed of writing of the memory. So because of that, it is an operation time is very high. We call this as OS, not OS, one second. I'll give you that time. This is called disk operation time. Okay, disk operation time. So second is streaming. Streaming almost very limited memory, right? High concurrent operation possible. That means lot of parallel users can connect. Here concurrency is a bottleneck. It all depends on size of the file, right? If you are dealing with 1 KB file, you may not have much of a problem. If you are possible, so high concurrent operation possible, very less disk time, very less disk operation time or disk time, or you can call it as the access time. I call it as disk access time. Very less disk access time, because it writes one few bytes of data into the disk. Remaining time it will be free until the next block of data is received. It adjusts according to your availability of memory, according to your memory settings, kernel memory settings, etc. He automatically adjusts your stream operation. Generally, stream operation goes with block of 8 KB or 64 KB, 16 KB, right? 32 KB or 64 KB. That is the block size he will take generally according to your memory availability. He automatically decides that if your memory is, if you are dealing with 1 GB of RAM, then he goes with 8 KB or 16 KB. He automatically adjusts that settings, which you don't have to bother about. So read and write automatically adjust that. So this is the very important aspect that you need to know. One is disk access time to read from the disk or write to the disk. Please remember, reading is faster than writing. Disk reading is faster than disk writing. So writing is a heavy job, right? SSD, because of the availability of the SSD, you have a now better control on that. Otherwise, it is a huge task. Okay. Now, having said that, now we just go to writing a file. I want to write a file using this create file operation, right? fs.create file. As I said, I want to create a try catch because it's a disk operation. Disk operation always means I need to deal with a try catch. So I say first is what is the path of the file. I can set the path as I copy this here. I'll put it everything under this directory. Under this directory, I'll put my content. So instead of HTML, I call it as text file. Class test.txt file, right? So it's a text file. I want to create a file. So when I do, right now I'm doing it with the create file, write file operation, right? Right, let content equals, just make sure that you go through this document before you proceed. Please keep this document open so that any syntax, because it's very difficult to remember the syntax. So go through this document, very well explained. This is what promises. This is what we are saying, call back 85. So create write file stream, that is a streaming operation. Create write file is there, read file, W, it starts with W, so write file. So write file, this is what we are going to see. So write file operation, this is what we are going to see. You have options here. So the flag options is nothing but flag operation, whether you want to append to the file, you want to rewrite the file, you want to read from the file, all that you can use it with the flag operation. So how do I do? I'll just tell you here. So content, my first line through JavaScript, right? Full stop. I'm just doing one line writing, right? So then fs it returns. What is that it returns? You can check from here. Fs write file, mode operation file. It doesn't return anything unless otherwise there is an exception. Otherwise, it doesn't return anything. It just write file, you just give your message. That's all. Fs dot write file is there, write file sync is there. I use sync. Sync is equivalent to our content followed by options. Options is goes with curly braces. Flags. If you don't give anything, it is always a write operation. I don't want to give anything for time being. I just say write file sync operation. In case if path is having a problem, etc., this will create an exception. So it will come out of the try catch. So whatever the let I used inside the try, that means this path is not available outside the data. Okay, path content I have given, path I have not given. File sync is undefined options. Param is a file has to be with the path with the content. Right? It is message.txt data throw buffer from data. So I have to give a content afterwards. First is path, pth, comma, content, then options. Content is nothing but data. Path, content, then operation. That is the first line I am just writing. Catch. In case if any catch, console log. So exception, write exception. I just say e dot message. I execute this. I comment all other lines for time being so that we can focus on file writing. Control Fs. So path, I have given the path. This is the file name. I have not given any options now. This is the content I want to rate. So file write sync is the operation. Returns undefined. You can see that returns undefined. That means it doesn't return anything. So I just say, if at all it is an error, error is coming as part of the catch. That's all. So I just execute now. Command line, execute. So it is now executed without any thing. I just go open the file here. So in this class test.txt file, right click, notepad. Now you can see my first line through JavaScript. This is what I was talking about, one escape sequence, right? I want to now put another line. That is the escape sequence /n, my second line. I am writing it in the same line, but right, I have the already there is a file exists. I'm the same file I am writing now with the second line. See what happens. Right, I used /n as my character. This is an escape character. N means it is a carriage return. That means it goes to the next line. So let us write it. Done. Job done. If I go here, class txt 1 KB size, right click, open with Notepad++. Oh, what happened? I closed it, I reopen now. Yeah, you can now see my first line through JavaScript, my second line through JavaScript. Right, it has created two lines. The reason for the two lines is because of the /n. The /n is nothing but carriage return. Carriage return I have done with the /n. /n/r is generally used. Control R. Control R is for carriage feed. Line feed. Line feed is /r. Line control N is carriage return. Carriage return comes from the typewriter concept, where you do the carriage return so that it moves to the next line. It comes from the typewriter work days, right? Typewriter type. Okay. So this is content. This is second thing. Now you know that it is not It has written on the same file with a new content. It has written the file. Now I'll put it, you don't know whether, because I'll now do the options here. So file content followed by options colon write append mode. Now A means append mode, not options, it is flags. Flags, A means it is append mode. Right? I'm right now. You see what happens to this file. Right? I execute the file now. I already had 2 lines. I close this file. I'll reopen it. I close this file. I'll reopen the file from my folder. Reopen the file. You will see now 4 lines. Oh, okay. What happened? Oh, okay. I'll write it again. I'll write it again. Execute this. Append mode. True. Flags append mode. True. Okay. Executed. Let us check here. No, it is not executing. Let me check the syntax for append mode hello node.js write file about signal write w flag, not flags, flag. It is not flags, it is flag. Okay, flag, save, execute. Okay, done. Close it, open it again. Open with. Now you can see this second line, third line, you can see there is no difference. The reason for that is because we have started with write file and we have not ended the file with a /n. If you have ended the file with a /n, then the next line might be proper. Slash or slash n. Slash or slash n. So at the end of the line, if I put it properly, I am still on the append mode. You can just watch the difference. Watch the difference. It will automatically, somewhere I made a mistake in Notepad. Otherwise, it will automatically refresh and show me the new content. Okay, now you can see. So my file, my last, because the last file that I have written was this. I'll again execute this, recreate, open it, open the file again. Now you can see JavaScript second line, it has come with a /n ended with my previous already created data. So understanding this is very, very critical. Tomorrow we'll talk about how to read the file, how to do a asynchronous reading. That means let us try to read some content which is heavy content. Try to read it from that and try to see how do we, file operation is equally very important aspect in the programming language. I leave it at that today. I'll allow that any questions you can let me know. I allow the other team members to take over. let the team take over and move further. Thank you. We'll see tomorrow.